be here, and let's jump right into it. Maybe a good place to start is a question for Bobby and Barbie. Can you fill us in on what's happened since the end of the movie and up till now? I know you were just in the news. Maybe you can let everybody know how things are going.
Yeah. Turn on the light. I want them to see my beautiful face.
Yeah. Or we can scooch up. We can just go up a little bit. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Maybe we were meant to be up here. All right. There we go.
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you very much for this beautiful welcome. We don't take it for granted. Yeah, the filming stopped, but the action continued. Everything that you saw in the film continued in enormous amounts. The brutality continues, the illegal arrests continue, the killings continue, the abductions continue, even as we speak today. On my way here, I learned that one of my friends is an artist, was abducted by unknown people and is missing. So it continues, you know. Of course, we continue to resist, we continue to do what we are doing. The last time I returned back home was on the 5th of October this month, and I was pulled off a plane and dragged on the tarmac. I did not enter the country legally, you know, and I was put under house arrest for the next 3 days, you know, and that continues. But we also continue to stay alive. Yeah.
And is there an election ahead, and what are your plans?
Yeah, there is supposed to be an election in 2.5 years from now, because every 5 years, according to our law, there's supposed to be an election, and yes, an election happens. Although elections are reduced to what you saw, ceremonial elections, but they're sham elections. There's supposed to be another election in 2026. Am I going to be part of it? I don't know. My main preoccupation now, my main focus is to be alive by then. And when I am alive still, I don't think it would make sense to go into an election like that, to have another round of supporters massacred, to have another. Right now as we speak, 3/4 of my entire campaign are still in prison. They've not been charged. Others, of course, are missing and others are dead. So yes, going into another election would mean a repetition of that. But again, we don't want to give up, because democracy is the only window that we want to use. We are many, we could pick up guns, but we don't want to get involved in violence. So we are doing this to make sure, hoping that we will have the American population, the European population understand what they're sponsoring. And when they stop that, then we know that we will have an opportunity of a free and fair election. If we have a free and fair election, everything else will change. Yeah.
Maybe I don't know if I need this or not, but Barbie, you also are undertaking some new humanitarian efforts on the home front. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me to be here, and that welcome was really warm. Thank you. I have been doing humanitarian work for about 10 years. The only difference now, since he joined politics, is that my work now involves what he does. In the past, we were looking out for girls in villages and making sure they stay in school through health, teaching them menstrual hygiene, and teaching them the essence of staying in school, and discouraging parents from marrying their daughters off early, and providing the necessary requirements for the girls in villages so they spend more time at school and not at home. It was a technique we used to have more girls spend more time in school and maybe learn something, because where I grew up from, not many of the girls had a chance of going through school and completing primary 7. Primary 7 is like a class you are in when you're about 12. So most of them were married off at 13 years. I barely have friends from where I come from who completed secondary school. Secondary school is the one you complete before you go to university. So they're already grandmothers, and their daughters are prepared to get married, and some actually married off. So growing up, I felt like it was my challenge to make sure not many of the girls be like them, but more of the girls be like me. So originally that was the plan, but since he joined politics, now we are looking after children of the disappeared parents. We are looking after women, mothers of the children and wives of men who have been killed. We are looking after families of those who are still in prison. And so my NGO is now mixed up with his politics.
Our politics.
So it is now my duty, that's the part I play. And I'm glad that the directors of my NGO also believe this is what we should do. So majorly that's what we're doing. My NGO is called Caring Hearts Uganda, caring for people, hearts, the heart, Uganda. We have a website, www.caringheartsuganda.org. When you go there, you'll see the work we do. Yeah.
Good. Well, check it out, everybody. So, I mean, there's so many things to talk about. So just Moses, believe it or not, this is really his first film. If you can believe that. It's a tough act to follow. We were talking about what might be next, but I guess, you know, you have a lot of filmmakers here, Moses. So, without getting too, into the weeds, I mean, talk a little bit about how did you start shooting in 2014? When did you get involved, and how did you choose when to shoot or not to shoot? It seems like you're always shooting. And then I want to ask also, I know you edited for a really long time. Tell us about some things that got cut out, because filmmakers always love to know, like, what were some of the early, so talk about the filmmaking a little bit.
Wow, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to be here tonight. I must say it's the power of God that three of us are in front of you here. This gentleman has survived over 7 assassinations. 3 of those I was present. 2 of those, there were bullets shot through the car, and we were just there, and you hear them going past. But to answer your questions, this film, we started filming in 2017. Bobi Wine had just gotten into Parliament. He had been this amazing musician, incredible, always singing about the plight of the Ugandans. Every 5 years, Museveni, the dictator we have in Uganda, he's been in power for 37 years, the incumbent. He brings together the big artists in the country, pays them to do like a big campaign song to show this support. It's all fake. Bobi Wine has never joined that group. And he's an individual that we've always seen as a consistent artist. So when he came into Parliament, I was very intrigued. I was like, this guy, there's something about him that is special. And he came at a time when there was the impending age limit. In 2005, President Museveni took out a bill from the Constitution that changed term limits to allow him to run for as many terms as possible. This was back in 2005. At that time, he lost a lot of allies. But now, in 2017, he was turning, he was going to be stopped by his age, so he decides to take out this bill. Anyway, Bobi Wine comes together, builds these coalitions with other opposition, and they start opposing Museveni. And around the same time, Christopher Sharp, the co-producer and the co-director and producer of the film, reaches out through a few friends, and we started working on this film. And it's been a labor of love. Being a young Ugandan at the time, I had never voted. And I'm a journalist and filmmaker. So I'm aware of the situation that was happening in the country. I was paying attention to the politics, but I had never voted at that time. it's not because I didn't want things to change, but the youth and the young are alienated from politics. And because of this round of violence that you see every 5 years during the election season, people don't want to be involved, they don't want to show up. So it's almost like there's this big population of apolitical people. But here came a musician, and then at that point, a politician telling all of us to get involved, and he was speaking to my heart. He was speaking to many my age, and I considered voting, and I was now working close to him and making a film about him. It was not an easy journey. It wasn't. I was shot in the face, locked up in prison, interrogated multiple times, and but yeah, the task was way more. The task ahead, and you know, it was way more than what was happening to me, you know, and I had never seen a brave individual challenging Museveni like we had in Bobbi and his wife. And I just felt like, you know, I had to be present and I had to carry the task forward. But just to finish it, I now can't live in Uganda. I had to flee, myself and my wife. By the time we left the country, there had been two attempted kidnaps on my wife. So we had to leave the country, and we are now here in America seeking political asylum.
Wow. Thank you. Maybe if I should just quickly add on what Moses said about when he was asked about what was left out in the film.
Yeah.
Right.
Actually, my first reaction when I saw the first cut of that film, when I saw this film, I complained.
Yeah.
I complained because even now I still believe that this film makes General Museveni look like a saint. Honestly, not even a fraction of the brutality was shown here. Many of my friends were shot point blank on camera, and he has that footage. My closest bodyguard was run over by a military truck with the word donated by USA. It is on camera. You know, one lady was run over by a truck. So many people were shot point blank. All this is not shown. It is not shown when we are beaten so bad. So I was complaining, but they explained to me and told me, well, the American and European audiences are not used to such medieval violence. So extreme violence might be a turn-off. So I said, okay, but I was not satisfied. Not that I'm satisfied, but at least you get the point.
Actually, most of the footage was lost in police cells, because every time he was arrested, a camera and all the footage stayed with the police. So yeah, even when he had even when he had thousands and thousands of hours of footage, half of it is with the police in Uganda, because he was always in prison. Always.
Wow.
Well, we in total we cut from 5,000. We have 5,000 hours of footage. So what you see is cut from 5,000 hours. Luckily we started editing. I know. Yeah, we started editing 2 years in, after getting connected to John Batsek, our incredible, talented producer. So we put together a team and we started editing in London. And every couple of days I was sending footage out of the country. And we had incredible scenes. By the time the film was released, we had 2 films ready, but John and Telluride team, where we were going to premiere the film, they said it will confuse the audience, like which film they've seen, you know. So we had to cut it into one film in a few weeks. There's, you know, gruesome scenes of you know, women who have been, you know, kidnapped and raped, and you know, it's some of the scenes I can't say here. But you know, individuals maimed, and you know, people dropped on the streets for dead, and you know, we have these interviews, and all these are very deserving stories and storylines, you know. But we felt like staying close to Bobby and Bobby was the best way to tell the story. Yeah, but indeed, Bobby was quite disappointed. We didn't show him the film through the 5-6 years of making it. We didn't show him the film, and we showed it to him at the end, and that was his reaction. Yeah.
Well, I think it is so many different films all at once. It's a liberation film, but I think it was very smart to put the love story of Bobby and Barbie at the center of it, and the family at the center of it. And I just watched it the second time, and so I could pay a little bit more attention to the way you structured it. And I mean, it's quite amazing that first little bit of, I think it's the only interview in the film at the very beginning, privileges their relationship. And then so you kind of have that North Star of love, and even Bobby, you say, how the love between you is what informs your politics. And so it's brilliant that you put that at the beginning, and I think, it really comes across. I mean, I want to let everybody else have a chance to ask some questions. One last question from me. Has this film shown in Uganda?
The question
Or will it? Yeah, I mean.
the question should be, can this film show in Uganda?
Is it, maybe it's smuggled around or something? Or, I mean.
No, it has not shown in
Okay,
Uganda, and I doubt anybody can risk showing it because that cinema would be closed indefinitely.
Wow.
And of course, the owners of the people that run it would disappear, maybe forever. However, we are hoping that all the people in Uganda, in Africa, and the world will see this film. We are very hopeful. We know that it's going to be on Nat Geo's YouTube. We know that Nat Geo is going to make an effort to see that it's seen everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
In addition to what Bobby said, the film will be released on November 5th on YouTube internationally. It's currently on Disney Plus and on Hulu. But I just wanted to make this point. This film is not just about the case in Uganda. It's not just about the political situation in Uganda or Africa, because this is the reality of a lot of African countries. It tells you the fragility of democracies, including the democracy that you have here in America. Yes. This democracy needs protecting. It needs individuals with goodwill to make sure that it's protected. Because what we have in Uganda is the service to this one individual. Every institution serves this man who sees himself as a god, a small god. But that's where you end up. The violence you see, the chaos, and we had only 2 hours to tell this story, but there's so much that we could tell. The terrible healthcare system, or lack thereof, the healthcare system, the crumbling education system, and so many other infrastructural problems, and
the poverty also.
The poverty, and lack of opportunities, the high taxation, all these issues. But we hope that this informs, world audiences, the keepers of democracy, to see. And
I have a question. I'm sorry. By the way, it's fantastic. Congratulations. You have opened the eyes of so many people in this world, and you should really be revered and loved and cared for what you've done for your country and how much your people love you. My question is, what kept you alive? You got arrested 7 times, 8 times, you slipped on the soap in prison. There could have been so many different so-called incidents.
Yeah.
And so easy. What's that balance? I'm trying to understand the balance.
Thank you. That's a very important question. What has kept me alive? First, I was supposed to be a dead man on the 13th of August, 2018. When I was abducted, I was taken away by the military. When my driver was shot dead, I was supposed to die, because even in the military barracks where I was, the soldiers that got to me told me that they had instructions to eliminate me and deal with the consequences. What kept me alive in the beginning was the tweet that I made when they shot my driver and I was surrounded in a hotel. That tweet went viral, and there were protests here in America. For the first time, Ugandans all over the world united, and then the Kenyans protested, and that public outcry kept me alive. That is the thing that has kept me alive to the present day. The camera, the attention that I had, because so many people got killed. But when I survived that, then the international attention kept on me. That enabled me to stay alive to the extent that whenever I'm arrested, I'm less tortured than others, you know. So what is still keeping me alive is the international attention. That is why I continue to request for the same. If you will allow me, I'll again use this opportunity to request you friends to continue lending us your attention. Your attention is a lifeline for us. It keeps us alive. Even recently when I returned and I was abducted from the airport, before we go to the military base, it was everywhere on international news. And that kept the regime, you know, concerned that if anything happens to me, they will be answerable. So please keep your attention on us. You can follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. These are the platforms that are keeping us alive since the traditional media is completely muzzled by the regime. So international attention and international outspeaking has kept us alive. Yes.
Thank you. And to add on what you just said, we are well aware that the camera is our savior now. So everyone, we have a campaign where we tell everyone that is in our struggle to use their camera more than anything else. Our police fears the camera more than
missiles.
Yes. So, and because of the camera and because of the constant use of social media and how our young people are very crafty with social media, our government has closed Facebook. Facebook has been closed for about 3 years now. It's illegal to use Facebook back home. We use VPN to access Facebook. Yeah, the police uses Facebook to communicate to us, so they also use VPN. But we have knowledge that the camera is keeping us alive, so everyone is using the camera. So it would be of no use for us to collect all this evidence and it stays within the country, because we know our government does not fear the voices from within. It fears the voices from without. And it fears the image that we create about them out here, because they are well aware that the donations have to keep coming in and they have to keep a clean image. But if we expose the truth, which is through the camera and with footage, which is good evidence, then they are not going to be happy with us. But we keep doing it because that's the way we keep alive.
Are there people in Uganda that actually support that man?
Yes.
Well, why? Why they cannot see the reality?
But they benefit from every regime has its people that feed from it, people that benefit from the corruption. The military is largely, it's a family rule back home. So it's family and friends. And I mean, every regime has those people that don't care about the morality. All they care about is the money that is constantly given to them.
An example to this point is, you know, during the vote, I think, was it a month before the vote, every member of parliament received $10,000 US in their account, including the opposition, including those who opposed the bill. And Bobbi sent that money back. But
they gave you money also.
Oh yeah,
They
when I was
sit
still
down
member
your
of parliament.
yeah, so imagine, you know, they received this $10,000 US in their accounts. You know, I mean, you can't know those who sent it back, those who did. He did it publicly, but and you see the lady, the MP, who's like very happy, like cheerful, and like she kind of was overseeing the whole distribution of this money. She's now the
Minister.
the prime minister.
Prime Minister.
Oh yeah, Nabanja.
Nabanja.
She's the prime minister.
She's the prime minister.
Hmm.
You see, so if you sing praises, if you bow down to this individual, there's these gifts,
Yeah.
and then and a few days later there was a big state house banquet of all those who voted for the bill. So
And maybe if I could quickly, I'm sorry I'm taking too much time, but the regime back home relies on two things from Ugandans: greed and fear. They either throw dollars at you or bullets at you. So many people, especially those that are outspoken, are conditioned whether they want or not to support the regime. Religious leaders, traditional leaders, opinion leaders, the few that speak truth to power disappear or die under suspicious circumstances. And those that are yes men and women get public gifts like cars. Every religious leader has a very expensive gift of a car from General Museveni. So that is how he keeps them on his side. Yes.
This woman here, I've been waiting.
Hi, I'm inspired by all of this. Thank you for the work that you do and attempting to give people beautiful lives. I know that's what you're aiming for. My question is for Barbie. How do you remain so poised and so under control while literally the world is on fire around you and your husband? I don't know how you do it, but how do you stay centered and grounded in the midst of all this?
Well, you know how a duck does the swimming? So you see the duck gracefully just like having fun in the water, but they're doing a lot of work down there. You see me taking it gracefully, but actually no, it's not like that. I cried a lot of times. I called people for help a lot of times. Family was there for me. Friends were there for me. I had my children being stronger than me most of the times. I prayed, I fasted. I spent sleepless nights. It was not that easy. I can't say that I just pulled it off smoothly. But because I knew that there were women of the real dead men on the struggle, I could not cry more than them. And because I knew that they were looking up to me to speak for them and stand out for them and be their pillar, their strength, I cried in my house, then walked out and just put up a straight face. It was not easy, but I can't say I would have managed without the help of the whole team. His friends were calling me, the leaders were calling me. Our house had visitors all the time. People were there for me, and that kept me strong.
Hi, thank you. The military equipment, such as guns and tanks, is that the same source as the bio weapons that you experienced, the injection? Because part of what I saw was that you were in the hospital, and when you came to the U.S., you were getting monitored. Was that, did they give you shots of something to try and kill you or poison you? And so I guess my question is, what country or what other regime is supplying the Ugandan government with that knowledge?
Thank you. Yeah, they gave me so many shots. Now that I'm still alive, I'm not sure it was poison.
Okay.
But they gave me various shots. Of course, they beat me so bad that I cannot stand for 1 full hour without sitting down. That affected me. It's been almost 3 years, no more than 3 years, 4 years actually. But I've never healed from that, probably never. But other than that, my spirit is strong. So I think I'll live for some years. Yeah, I believe so. Which countries help General Museveni? Many, but now that I'm in America, I'll talk about America. America gives General Museveni to the tune of $1 billion US every year, especially in military aid. What it does, you have seen. It has always been our call to the development partners, especially the United States, since it's the world's biggest democracy. We are asking them not to come in Uganda and change our circumstances, but to stop sponsoring our operation. And that we know that the policymakers and the politicians know. We know they know about it, but we know so many American citizens don't know about that. And because you guys are a democracy and you have the luxury of protesting for the right, maybe when we request you, especially after showing you what's happening there, maybe when you raise your voices and reach out to your leaders, your congressmen and women, they will.
And your bravery as a filmmaker, and this has been wonderful, and let's all go
How do you get Bobi
hang out
Wine's
outside.
name?
What's that?
How do I get Bobi Wine's name?
Yeah, we can talk outside. Thanks, everybody.